Hello, ladies and gentlemen. This is Hollywood Matt Connolly with the double biceps. It is in the contract a legal requirement every time we appear on camera. My co-host, co-founder, co-extraordinaire, co-breather of air, co-wearer of clothes. It is, in fact, the winner of the Dave Stockbridge of the Year Award, the Master of Disaster, the Count of Monte Cristo, the King of Sting, Underlips, the ultimate male. It is, in fact, Dave Stockbridge.
Well, thank you very much for that very warm introduction, Hollywood Matt Connolly.
Yeah, we have a very special guest today, a returning guest, the third time on the show. This man is known for his Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu expertise.
You're such a wanker. You promised me.
It is the MMA commentator extraordinaire for Diamondback Fighting Championship. It is Rich Warner, the man with the book full of knowledge and notes. And welcome back to the show. There it is.
He is the oracle on all things local MMA, and with one of the biggest events of the calendar coming up just this Saturday at the Adelaide Oval, DFC 15. Rich, I bet that the phones have been ringing off the hook as you're getting the skinny on what's about to transpire on the biggest stage that we have here in MMA in South Australia.
Yeah, guys, 15. Can you? 15. It's like huge, isn't it? 15. We've done 15 now. It's amazing. Yeah, guys, it's all happening. We've got weigh-ins tomorrow night, and then 2 days until we get to see some of the best talent. So, yeah, really, really starting to switch on and getting focused and excited about it. Really interesting to see and hear about, and the weight cuts and how everyone's going, and if there's any ones to specifically worry about. So yeah, it's good.
Yes, and have you been receiving any messages? You got any tells in the lead up? That you got any little bit of background, any whispers, any rumours that you may have come across over the last few days in the lead up to the weigh-in?
Not really. I think I spoke to you last time, and I said I'd get my act together and sort of put my nose to or ear to the wall, sort of thing. But I haven't actually done that yet. I do apologise, guys. So I haven't. So I thought instead of finding rumours, we just make our own rumours up instead. I thought,
And you did allude last time. You almost provided us with an exclusive, although I don't think it was official information at that stage. But the main event, the original main event of the evening, was to feature AAA Shane Mitchell and a big draw card, and one of the athletes a lot of people love to watch. And you broke it perhaps here first, and tell us a little bit about that situation and what is your main event.
Yeah, so super disappointing news in good old AAA. Anywhere, anytime, any place. Shane Mitchell he does have a calf injury. It sounds like it's going to keep him from fighting. I think there was quite a good strong rumor about the replacement being Tim Rogers. From Trinity MMA. Tim's a fantastic up and coming fighter, and has had some injuries, and so really, really put him out. But yeah, I spoke to him at the last DFC, and I'll tell you what, he looked fit as, and he was saying, "I want to, I'm ready to go." So, excuse me. So yeah, Tim was going to be, I believe, the replacement. I'm not sure what has transpired since then. Doesn't sound like we're going to get that fight in the end against Tristan Mad Dog Murphy in the end with the Irish accent, Tristan Murphy. So it sounds like that's not going to play out, which will leave our final and largest fight with the steak knife, John Lockhead. From Mildura against M16's Adam Collette, an amazing fight in itself. So, yeah, two amazing, great Aussie fighters will be for the amateur title, I believe, will be the last card or last fight on the card instead.
Well, yeah, and most DFCs do end up in a title fight. The last couple of fights tend invariably end up with the title on the line. So we've really got to look forward to two young men at the top of their game, coming head-to-head in the main event at DFC 15. Any interesting bouts that are now coming up for you in the undercard that you've that has maybe caught your eye and your imagination somewhat?
Yeah, look, I'm always, excited to see Joe Brown. Of course, we've talked about him lots, and we love him on the podcast. Of course, he's facing, a guy from Mildura. Anyone from Mildura, these guys are surprise packages from Mildura. Sometimes you've never heard much or seen them before, but they really step up for competition. So Joe Brown, it's a middleweight fight. He's fighting, a guy with experience in Ben Dawes' 2-0, I believe. So he's got big dreads, and he normally wears them in a top knot. So I'm not sure if that excites you or not, but I reckon watch out for the dread movement, because that's watching the movement of the dreads is the key to the next punch for Joe. You know what I'm saying? The dreads give it away. What do you reckon?
Distraction technique.
Yeah, very interesting. So you just got to keep an eye on the back of the head of your opponent as much as the front. Yeah, I think Joe certainly all of the senses at his availability.
Is it like fighting the predator? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
Fighting a shadow of a shadow.
Yeah, that could be an absolute
is the man.
Banger.
Defeat the dreadlock.
Defeat the man. And what you read on the hybrid rules and the hybrid bouts that we've got coming up at DFC, because that's a new addition to the DFC format.
Yeah, it's brilliant, isn't it? Because I think every fight always starts at the start of a round in being stand up, and sometimes it doesn't always stay there. But if you're a fan of MMA, you certainly have probably gotten there through a love of watching striking, whether that be from boxing or Muay Thai. Who know? Even the old days of K1 and so forth. So we've got a couple of interesting fights. One with a guy called Sadiq Asifi. He was just absolutely supersonic last year when he fought on the Muay Thai card, and he just didn't put a foot wrong. It was like, oh my gosh, it was his first ever fight, I believe, but it was like he'd had 10, 15 fights before, and just absolutely everything he did was beautiful, perfect timing, and with such confidence. So yeah, he's obviously had another year of experience under his belt before he's going to fight for his second fight. But it's amazing, like as I said, like his debut was like of a very experienced fighter. So interesting to see what he's going to come up with against Guglielmi from Chow Kaizen. Well, I'm not sure. I'm really not sure, but I'm expecting to see it finished. I believe I don't think that they'll do the old Muay Thai thing where we'll start the first round a bit slower and then we'll gather momentum into the second and third. I think it's going to be crazy.
And how would you best describe to a layperson the hybrid rules in, I guess, contrast to what they might see in the other bouts, the MMA bouts for the evening? Yeah, well, I suppose we've got two, and there's a slight difference in rules in both of them. With the Sadiq Asifi and Guglielmi fight, I believe it's throws and takedowns, plus the 8 limbs. So I believe it's elbows and knees as well, which is, especially because a lot of the fights that we have are be amateur. So when you see something like this where they're allowed to absolutely throw elbows and just open each other up, it's just absolutely, crazy. When the fighter hits the canvas, they're stood up again. Is that?
So you can do your throw and your takedown, and of course that will incur points, but you're not going to be able to do submissions after that. They will be stood up like a Muay Thai, like a Muay Thai. But I think a lot of work will obviously happen in the clinch as well.
Yeah, they're very interesting. And is this the first time you in your experience as a commentator, you've called this type of modified rule set?
Well, I think we're sort of making it more difficult than it needs to be because of this word sandshoe that we've legalised it under. But really, it's just K1 or Muay Thai with some slight rule of this one doesn't allow throws and takedowns, whereas this one does. But both of them are 8.
So in a practical sense, it's just we're basically facilitating a form of Muay Thai in the cage.
Exactly.
Right.
Some of the Muay Thai loyalists are going to, if we say that, they're going to expect a Muay Thai style, which means stance and so forth. It doesn't necessarily mean that. I would expect more of a, each fighter is going to bring their own specific, background. I think Guglielmi from Shao Kaizan is also a fighter under a specifically kickboxing Muay Thai club as well. Whether they go more of a K1 stance versus Muay Thai is their own background, and either can work and will work, I'm sure.
So a really interesting X factor for fight fans who would never have come across this previously in the cage in Australia. So this has got a great deal of novelty. It's going to be interesting to see, a little bit like the early days of the UFC, Matt, where nobody quite knew. You had the different styles colliding. People were still feeling out what was going to work best in that format, and we might see a little bit of that transpire there at DFC.
Sumo was not effective.
Sumo.
We found that out.
Sambo was. Who would have thought?
There was a hybrid fight that took place in Japan with Aoki. I don't know if you remember that. The guy who used to wear the fancy pants, and fantastic submission artist, and not as good on the feet. But he did a hybrid match with a striker kickboxer. The first round was pure kickboxing. And then the second round was grappling, and it was
so each round had a different dynamic to it.
But Aoki was such an annoying opponent in that first round when it was stand up only. He would throw a attempted flying kick and then fall on the ground and take his time getting up. And then throw another flying and fall on the ground and he'd take his time. Everyone's booing. Like, he's obviously gaming the rules so that he could get through this round to get to the second round. Yeah. And he did that. He got to the second round. And was like, yes, this is my time. He's run in, second round to start. He's come straight across the cage for a takedown.
My time to shine.
And the other guys kneed him straight in the face and knocked him out. Yes. Sucked in. That's what you get.
Wow. Yeah. And you've seen ONE FC do some similar kind of hybrid fights as well, where they'll do like, 1 round as Muay Thai. I think, who was it? Did you watch it recently? It was only about in the last 6 months, I suppose, where it was, one of the, was it Rod Tang and somebody, whereas Muay Thai the first round, and then the next round was like, it was against Demetrius Johnson.
Oh, okay. Yeah, right.
And Demetrius Johnson took the first round in terms of just tried to survive it, with the against Muay Thai, and he was against. I can't remember who it was, whether it was Rod Tang or anyway, superstar. He survived. He managed not to get knocked out because he's super hard to finish. And then in the second round, he just came forward and he won. Yeah, Demetrius Johnson. But yeah, it's really interesting. Some different takes on way to do things, isn't it?
Yeah. So that's just going to be exciting to see in the cage in itself. And still some great fights to still look forward to that night. Some good interstate talent making its way to South Australia, and in some cases travelling back for a second or third time. So
Seku Kamara.
Yeah,
your favourite name to pronounce
is one of my favourites. I do like Seku Kamara. He always gives his best as well. Always turns up looking fantastic and essentially, looking like he's going to do some damage. So he always presents very, very well to the cage.
Well, he's got a tough.
I like Seku fights.
Are you going to go for Seku?
Seku.
I'm setting you up here. I'm setting you up for a foul because he's against Louis Passen, of course.
Louis, the junkyard dog. Yeah,
he's going for the top dog title, I believe, because the Mad Dog is off the card now.
Mad Dog is off the card. Yeah. I think the junkyard dog might have had something to do with that, just behind the scenes.
Yeah, wasn't happy.
Yeah, so he's the only dog on the card now. So
can we make
it can be only one? Yeah, yeah. Seku and Louis, that's going to be an awesome fight.
Best fight and top knockout, and then top dog. Yeah. So Louis Passen walks away with that one. So Louis is always exciting when he steps up to the cage. So a couple of big wins a big win under his belt in Apex, and I don't, in the meantime, very close when he travelled interstate more recently. I think over to Victoria.
Well, he's coming off that loss, isn't he? So
learned some lessons there, but they're still looking good and training well, and Saturday will reveal what he's been working on over the last month or so.
Is it fair to say you'd expect him to beat Seku?
That's what you said last week.
Yeah. It depends. Where's your money, Rich?
He'd be the betting favourite, you'd say. I mean, Seku's got a great chance, and you never. This is the great thing about this sport, isn't it? You can never know what's really going to happen. But
Seku's quite rangy. He moves well, but then you got Louis, who's just he's a beast, and he puts piles on a lot of pressure, and makes it very difficult for his opponent if they get on the back foot early on. Louis doesn't ease off.
But if Seku does win that is a big jump up in his career for sure. I mean, that's a big win for him if he pulls that off.
Well, here's the key, I reckon, to this one, right? Interesting thing about Seku is he's been beaten twice, but he hasn't been beaten on the feet. He's been beaten by 2 submissions. So I don't think Louis wants to take it to the ground, or he's never been inclined to take it to the ground. He wants to bang. Seku loves to bang, and I don't think Seku generally wants to go to the ground either. So it could be a really nice stand-up striking battle.
Could be a fight of the night in the making right there if both men stay on their feet.
Yeah, we can find out who the top dog is.
Well, Seku would need a dog.
He does.
Course, so maybe we could work on that with Seku.
Mad Dog? No, that was the guy that was who's fallen out of that one. Right, forget that.
Here's my only other thought, right, for this one, is that when Louis beat Najelki, what is it, Rabbit? I'm trying to put me off. When Louis, he beat Najelki, right? And if you think of Najelki's body, it's similar to Seku's body. It's rangy.
Najelki and Seku might have fought in Muay Thai more recently over the last 6 or so months.
Maybe.
Or did they just fought on the same card? Maybe they just fought on the same card.
Possibly.
Yeah. So I think
if they're both wanting to stand up, that's where you can really. I mean, if you're outmatched grappling wise, you're probably going to get dominated. If you can't stop your opponent from taking you to the ground, it's a bad night for you. But if you both want to stand, even if you're not as good of a striker, you still got a chance there.
Yeah.
Well, the problem that Najelki had, of course you want to, use your rangy punches and especially that jab, and I think Seku's going to want to do as well. But if you remember, it only went for 13 seconds, and the big question was angles. Can he get to the left and be able to maybe counter with a left hook his way out from the cage? Because Louis is just going to come forward with a big 50 haymakers in a row with, left hook overhand right, left hook overhand right. I'm sure he's going to start that way. Is Seku going to be able to do what Najelki couldn't?
And it's so exciting when you've got so much young talent in Australia right now. A lot of athletes are finding their way stylistically, and may have only had 2 or 3 or 4 fights by the time they earn themselves a spot on the DFC card, for instance. And so, do we know whether often their style is just what is their default, or is it something that's still a work in progress? And we're starting to see these young athletes, as they return to the DFC cage, coming back with something extra, coming back with something new, and developing as athletes, which I find is super exciting.
Yeah, it's a great question, isn't it? It's probably different for everybody, and you see other people. Some people really change a lot. In terms of even the way they hold themselves, standing up, striking, but then of course adapting and also gathering much more to their actual overall game. But I suppose it's probably different for everybody. But you see some change, but generally the most change that I see is just the level of skill, the level of confidence, the level of taking your time and being able to, do what you want, and to also not just rush things. Is probably the most thing that you see from your you're much more amateur to much more experienced fighters. They take their time, don't they?
Absolutely, yeah, and I guess that was one of the characteristics that you just picked out a little earlier with respect to the maturity in the ring. Sorry, who was the athlete you were referring to? No, Apex Kickboxing looked great in the ring.
Sadiq Asifi.
Asifi, yeah. So that really marks somebody who's having one of their early fights, and yet they've got all of the qualities of a seasoned athlete. Who's, and I mean, that was a big stage at Apex. I mean, in front of the grandstand, thousands of people, and for him to present as level-headed and is quite an accomplishment in itself.
He honestly looked as good as any athlete that I've seen on the higher stage of all, you know. And it's his first fight. I'm like, what the heck was that? That was just ridiculous. And it's not like his opponent was a slacker and it was hopeless. No, he just was amazing.
Yeah, it is interesting.
Scary.
With styles in fighting that people they'll gravitate towards one or the other when they first start, you know, whether they fall in love with striking or they just are super strong with their grappling, and that becomes their bread and butter. And it's very rare that you sort of see a big change in an athlete's game from their core sort of principle, thing that they use when they go into the cage. And it's like, this guy's a grappler and he's added some striking over his career. But predominantly,
except for Rhonda and her boxing, bro.
Yeah, she was the head movement was the factor in that one there. Yeah. Edmund Tamvarian.
Yeah, you're obviously proven wrong there. Yeah.
Obviously, yeah, that's right. But I mean, coming from a judo background for herself, I mean, that's what won her 11 fights in a row in the first round. But yeah, adding some sort of level of striking into that. But obviously, you know, it is rare to see somebody change significantly. And the only one I'm sort of thinking of is Sean Shirk. If you remember Sean Shirk, who was a lightweight champion in the UFC, the Muscle Shark, who was
the Muscle Shark. Yeah,
given that nickname.
God, we're old.
Give that nickname by the Japanese audience, because it doesn't make any sense to me at all. But
it probably makes perfect sense in Japanese.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. Absolutely, the muscle.
Yeah.
He was predominantly a wrestler and grappler.
Means lean whale in Japanese.
Yes,
it's hard to translate. It's hard to know.
That's right. Most of his career, he fought as a wrestler, and he would take people down and ground and pound them. And he had phenomenal cardio, and he would just outwork people. And then in the later part of his career, he basically became a boxer. Like, he fell in love with his hands and his striking ability, and he would choose not to wrestle, and because he just wanted to box instead, which is
And I think we're coming out of an era with MMA where athletes would have quite strongly stood in a particular discipline and then developed the additional skill set that made them proficient in the cage, the octagon. Whereas now you've got young kids that go in and from day one they're across all the skills, and although they might have a disposition towards striking or grappling or whatever it might be, they're much more proficient across the spectrum of the skill set that's required to be successful in the cage now than ever before. And that's where we're seeing these athletes who are coming to DFC. They might be 2, 3, or 4 fights in, and really in that very short period of time, they're evolving and finding themselves as fighters, and that's really exciting to see.
That's right. I mean, as we said, like, this is our 15th DFC, but if you think back to like even 10, 15 years ago, there was only a couple, maybe like 1 or 2 MMA clubs in the whole, you know, state, or in each state even. So, you know, if you say to a fighter, "Oh, where are you from?" "I'm from karate, I'm from the kung fu guy, I'm from jiu-jitsu, or I'm from..." It wasn't like these days where, as you just said, you know, young kids growing up, they only have one thing. Oh my gosh, no, they know immediately that would be just completely inept and stupid to start with just one. You go to an MMA club and learn everything.
So as you glance through the card and in preparation for Saturday night, where do you see an upset? Who do you think is going to have the knockout? Where do you see the standout results? Who's going to win the $500 from American Motors for Fight of the Night? Where do you
There's so many possibilities. We've got big Reece Smith, like big heavyweight against Nate Levin from Pro Fitness Victoria. That's probably going to be finished in 1. So if you like knockouts, I'm sure that's going to happen. So that's second or third fight for the night.
You already touched
Before
on
that,
Muay and Seku. That's if that stays on the
right.
Female fights as well.
And we're starting off with a bit of a grudge match of Ibrahimi versus Lulios. So Lulios has been obviously talking a lot and a lot of shit. And he's going to try and back it up.
Has he really?
Ibrahimi.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Yeah. He doesn't know any other type. You know, he loves it. He loves it. He goes, "I don't give a fuck, bro. I don't give a fuck." It's crazy. So that'll be our first fight. We've got Lachlan Spidey Fletcher versus Machete Benetti. And then Reece Smith, the banger. Johnny Mano versus Muhammad Zayed, in that modified no throws or takedowns sand shoot fight at 76 kilos. I think just about every fight is a good one and a tight one. There's not a lot that I can, this one's definitely going to finish this way because, I think some of them, there's a fairly, this one's a favourite. One to look out for, of course, is one we haven't mentioned yet is good old Isaac Richards versus Damien Vola, who just, got the TKO win in Queensland
2 weeks ago.
A week ago.
Last week.
So,
Talia, great teammate.
Yeah. So, love to you, Josh and Talia, and Mel. Is it Mel?
Mandy.
I think her mum. Mandy?
Yep.
Mandy, great. Sorry, Mandy. So well done and congratulations. You guys are amazing. South Australians to go up there and smash them both. And how's knees, huh?
Oh, yeah. I was thinking of you when I was watching the final moments of that fight.
14,
I wonder if the commentator was counting the knees, like 14, 15, 16. She's just amazing, isn't she?
The powerhouse.
Yeah.
Apparently she didn't know that they were able to throw knees to the head until like just before the fight. So they came back and said, you're allowed to do that. She's like, yes, here we go.
All of Christmases came at once.
That's right.
Yeah.
So
she's going to have to.
Sorry, mate?
Yeah, sorry, yeah. I was going to say she's going to have to redo that fight that she had with I've forgotten her name. Amazing Australian. This girl has not lost since. She's and she I've forgotten her name, but she beat the girl that Talia fought as well. So
Anna,
it's
that rings a bell. Here we are.
I've forgotten it. I'm sorry, guys.
Like professionals. I know Matt will just edit all of this out, and it will just come up with the young lady's name.
Lip sync Rich's mouth to say the perfect words. There you go.
That was at Apex, and just that week, the week before, Talia had COVID, and her dad, who'd normally be in her corner, wasn't able to be there because then he had COVID, and to see in her own words, she just felt that she was a little bit off. She wasn't 100% there, but she'd still put up a fantastic effort, and afterwards was in good spirits and felt like she gave it her absolute best and couldn't have done much more given her health at the time. But at no point, Amina Hadja,
Hadaya. Yeah, Amina Hadaya. Well done.
Yeah.
Did you just look that up? Did you or?
Oh no, Dave knew. He just was playing.
I just had it in the back of my mind most of the time.
Well done.
When you were talking,
Amina Hadaya. That girl is like going places. I'm telling you, she's had lots of boxing fights. She's a superstar, Hadaya. Look out for her because I'm telling you, she's amongst the very elite in Australia. There's not many of them at that, for females in that category, which means great things. It means that you're only a step away from the big show.
Yeah.
Hadaya and Talia have got to go again at some point. And if Talia beats Hadaya, that's it. It may be trilogy for that.
Mikey, Apex 3, Nord Oval.
Hadaya.
There's one of your big fights of the night right there. They could be a very close to a main event or a co-main event.
That would be a big fight. Absolutely,
it would be a big fight.
She can beat Hadaya, and I'm telling you, the eyes of Australia are all over Hadaya at the moment. You know, if not the world. So Hadaya's going places, but Talia can beat her and just, you know, put that one in the back pocket. She's got the skills to.
Be a big moment.
Yeah.
Well,
Hadaya is like Louis Passen to me.
What about the Joe Brown fight? How's your feelings towards on that one?
Well, I like Joe Brown all over in this one. But I want to see Joe get a finish.
Yeah.
I want to see him just go in there like an absolute cannonball for 20 seconds, just like a pinball, just going crazy around the cage and just, you know, starting off with flying knees and just going absolutely punter, seeing if he can get it done within a minute, you know. I reckon he's got the speed. I reckon he's got the strength advantage. I reckon he's got it. And I don't think his opponent has fought for a couple of years, so he's going to have that rust. Whereas, you know, our boy, Vanilla Gorilla, he's always keen to get on every single card we do. He's always busy. And I think he's going to run straight through him for a KO. But I just hope he doesn't take his time too long and go to a decision again. I want to see him get that win in the first minute.
Okay,
he deserves it.
That's if you want to impress the man on the screen right now, that's exactly what you got to do.
Opening
1 minute, Joe. Come on, brother.
He will be ringside. He will be cage side. He will be watching. He'll be calling it.
Hey,
we might have Joe on the show next week. Is that?
We're in discussions with Joe's management team right now, and we're very hopeful that
is that his missus?
Top dog industry.
Have him in the studio, Joe Brown, next week.
Well, of course, right now is 24 hours away from weigh-in, so of course the athletes, the boys like Joe, especially Joe, big boy Joe, he's got a lot to lose, I'm thinking. So, have you got any? You spoke to him before our show tonight about how his weight is going?
I mean, he's suffering as a lot of the fighters do as they come into these final hours before weigh-in, and like I say, less than 24 hours to go. He would have loved to have been here, but I think he's in a sauna or a hot bath somewhere in Adelaide right now, just letting those kilos seep away, and I'm sure that within 15 minutes of standing on that scale, he'll be about 5 kilos heavier. So, sorry, mate. Look, sorry, the ginger beer is just taking hold. So massive night, big night. Tomorrow night, weigh-ins, all going well. Athletes will find themselves at the big event Saturday night, Adelaide Oval. All kicks off about 5 p.m., 6 p.m.
Yeah, I think so. Doors open at 5, isn't it, guys? So make sure you're there at 4:30.
Fights are kicking off about 6 o'clock.
Tickets still available?
Not many, from what I understand. So it's almost a sellout and has been for weeks now. So if you're lucky enough to find a ticket somewhere, or get onto diamondbackfc.com and see if there's any left, but you'd be lucky if you find any. But that final handful or so of tickets, that needs to go. Otherwise, if you're in Adelaide, you are not going to be able to get access to the pay-per-view. And the pay-per-view on Fight TV.
Fight TV, yeah. Fight TV. It's good to be back.
Wow.
Sorry, good to be back.
Yeah.
Live. Some technical issues at DFC 14, so it's going to be great to offer you to have a microphone in hand this time.
Remember, we made a microphone out of, what was it? Like a lapel mic, and we attached it to some stand, and then put like gaff tape around it.
It was like a MacGyvered up microphone.
It was like, here we go, that's our microphone.
That was essentially it.
If it works,
really. But this time we'll be doing a really good professional job. I really enjoyed watching Eternal the other day. And, I thought they did a fantastic, they must be the top of Australia in terms of the way they did. But I thought, to be honest, there was a bit of wank. I thought they maybe speak a bit wanky, and I thought we're better because we speak a bit much more down to earth, I think, and I reckon we can do a better job with just the same amount of professionalism, I reckon, but without the wank.
Interesting call. They actually sound like fighting words.
Yeah.
So
are you taking on the
commentary teams of other promotions now? This is like a.
Well, I think we do a great job.
BJJ practitioner as you are,
the expert.
Yeah, finely tuned,
the guru, scientist they call him.
The lounge chair expert. Yeah. So really looking forward to it. Oh, one other thing we didn't mention, but 2 days ago, remember we were talking about Dana White's Contender Series?
Yes, we were. Yeah.
Australian featherweight Jack Jenkins, who's on a 7-fight win streak, now 8-fight win streak, fought under the Dana White Contender Series from Absolute MMA. This guy's amazing. He's actually fought a couple of South Australians before. He's fought Happy Alan Hartley and he's fought Jesse Medina from Mildura. So, he's been up and around. He's got a 7-fight win streak in the last 3 years, though. Fought Dana White Contender Series. Currently now in the UFC, got the shake hands from Dana White. So congratulations to Jack.
Congratulations.
Yeah, Australia. We're talking about Australian athletes, weren't we, the other day? So well done. Amazing.
Fantastic. That's what you'll have to see. Somebody who puts in the hard yards and then they get their opportunity and they seize it with both hands.
It's got a great mullet as well.
Is there a contender series for commentators? Like, how to get in? Just get in a cage. You don't get in the cage. You just sit on the outside of the cage and talk shit about what's going on inside the cage.
I reckon Australia's overrepresented in great MMA commentators as well, eh? We've got, Chevello. Yeah. So us boys have got to look out. We all better, make sure we do a bloody good job, try and beat each other, because someone's getting the call up soon, I reckon. Come on now.
The big kaboosh.
Yeah, the big kaboosh. Good night, Irene.
He's more hooks than a pirate convention.
Yeah, you have to write all these down for me before I commentate, so they'll be like, I'll know what to say.
Well, I'm going to be keeping a close ear out for you, Rich, on Saturday night. I'm going to be listening out for that one, and for you to be just stealing a few of those golden lines.
Thanks, mate.
More action than a cucumber in a women's prison, but that's one of his lines. That's
yeah.
Actually, did you see? There's a great fight he called. It's still on YouTube. The fighter's last name was Manus.
Oh yes, I saw this.
Somebody cut all the moments of Chevello saying, Manus is taking a pounding. Manus is not happy. Manus is bleeding now.
Yeah.
Best thing ever.
And
Champagne MMA.
You'll be cage side, Rich, with your partner in crime, Andy Carpenter, I believe.
Yeah, we sure will be. And you'll be right in the middle of the ring and running around. Super excited. And you'll be in the middle doing all the hard work, which is great. And we'll just be talking about you. So
yeah.
Will you have a proper microphone?
No. I always get a proper microphone.
You got the proper one. Yeah.
Rich gets to use a broken iPhone microphone.
It was terrible.
And gets to stream on
Instagram. We recorded it off a phone.
I watched it back. That was actually really good. And it's such a shame that call. It's such a shame that call did not make its way to pay-per-view. It was an exceptional call. I'll also say this: you're not a bad cameraman.
No, did you watch that?
There, mate. I watched as much as what one could watch, but I watched
10 seconds.
It was all on Instagram. So that was the other good thing that you didn't have to pay if you to go watch it back. You can on the Instagram. It was but I commend you for your work under pressure on the last DFC and.
Well, it was good fun. Like I just wanted to get the good cage seating, really. So I just held up the phone and started talking. Really.
For you as a fan of MMA, the first opportunity to do the commentary, how did that come about with Diamondback?
For me, well, I suppose I was always with Diamondback, like before it even happened. I remember, working with Ike in the gym, and just one day he just came back and said, "Hey, Rich, what do you think of us?" Because we knew that the MMA Down Under was the previous sanctioned MMA show in South Australia, the only South Australian show. And they were going belly under and having some issues. And so we were watching along the sidelines. And then, as I think they had announced, this is our last show, we're not doing it anymore. I think Ike was just watching along the sidelines going, hey, maybe I should take this on. And at that time, Cardioflex, was definitely, a really growing brand in South Australia. And so, gave him some real confidence to do something like that. So I remember having that conversation, and I was, pretty close to him at that time, which is great. So, and I just, at that point, I'd be like, fantastic. If I can help out or do anything I can in any possible way, whether it be stacking chairs, which I've done for every single event, just about, I reckon, as well, I'm there. And so, he said, "Oh, what do you want to do?" And I'm like, "Oh, I'd do anything," And for I think the first 7 or 8 DFCs, we'd come and set up the cage and stack chairs. And then, of course, what I'd really love doing was I was up with the media guys doing, like, not the vision mixing, but doing the replays. So it was great because we're working with a whole bunch of studio media guys who weren't fans of MMA, so they didn't know what to look at or what to replay and when they should replay, and the whole system. So it's really fun doing all of that from the back of house sort of stage. And of course, I'd have Andy Carpenter and Mike Turner sitting sort of just to the right of me doing all the commentary, and it was great working with those guys and just listening and being a part of it. I suppose just with the relationship I've had with Ike, I think at one stage he just said, "Mate," because I think we always talked about me doing commentary, but never really eventuated. But I think he said, I don't know, it was about 6 shows ago. He said, "I want you to do the commentary for this next one." What? Really? Which is just, I don't know, amazing. Just for somebody to trust you like that and to believe in you. I had no idea what I was doing, but I was really lucky because, Mike Turner really took me under his wing and, gave me, quite a good, chat and, and talks about, what you should and shouldn't do and how we work together. And there's a lot that goes into, how you work together and what you say and what your role is and so forth. We don't just sort of turn the mic on and start, talking. So it was a really good introduction through Mike, and then, I suppose from then it's just been experience, from and that you make mistakes and I stuff this up, I stuff that up, but with every single one of them, I really feel you get much more confident and you get much, much better. So it's been a great experience for me.
Yeah. Was it a special moment when he said you've been adorned with the commentary position, and you're like, oh, did you feel like a sick kind of scared feeling, but excited? Or
well, the great thing is honestly, is when I did it for the first time, I was doing it with 2 very experienced campaigners and fighters, and previous heavyweight champion Mike Turner. So it could be very intimidating. But they all said to me, including Ike, you said to me, "You just be yourself. We know, that you're just the best guy in the world, Rich," and I believe them. No, honestly, they just really said, just do you. We know that you love to get excited. You're a big mouth, and and that's true. And I do really get excited. I suppose it comes from watching the days at the VFL at Waverley Oval every week with my dad just screaming and yelling. But but I do, like Chevello, for example. I mean, he's a big yeller, isn't he? He gets excited, and I very much try and not be Michael Chevello, but be myself. But I find that very much similar kind of get excitement, and you get crazy when somebody's getting, something amazing happening, 14, you see a lot of, well, a lot of commentary is really dry. A lot of really, really dry and boring commentary when something completely amazing is happening. It's what the hell are you? You can't be dull and boring. And I suppose I don't try and be anything but just be myself, and it seems to work really well.
Best moment for you in your commentary career?
Oh, I think Passen maybe getting that knockout, or it could have been Talia with the knees.
Mhm.
You're just right in there with them, and yeah, it's pretty amazing. Or maybe one of those fights where was it Joe Brown against oh, you're going to tell me the name in a second, with all the blood on the canvas.
Oh,
Oh, no, it
yeah,
wasn't
yeah,
Joe
yeah.
Brown. It was
The last one at Adelaide Oval.
Mm.
Yeah.
oh, the smell of
Oh.
copper in the air. There's things that you just don't get to experience or see, and as a normal spectator way in the back of the stands. So yeah, it's pretty privileged position, and I found a home with it. It's great. So, yeah.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, if you want to see this man do his thing on Saturday night, all you got to do is head over to Fight TV right now. Diamondback Fighting Championship, DFC 15, Adelaide Oval, Saturday night. You'll see Rich Warner and some fights, but mostly Rich Warner. So don't forget, if you haven't already bought a ticket, there might be 1 or 2 or 3 left. Be quick on it, but and then hope they sell out so that you can book yourself the pay-per-view now. And if you're interstate or overseas, of course, grab that pay-per-view right now. It's your best chance of seeing some of the best fighters in Australia come together in a cage this weekend anywhere in the world.
DiamondbackFC.com.
That's where you can get all the updates and information that you need, and any available tickets you'll be able to find on there.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for coming in for the 3rd time. The expertise was welcome. We really appreciate you.
Oh, it's all fun.
The book of knowledge.
Thanks, guys.
It's always a welcome guest. So
thank you, guys. Love.
Gentlemen, BJJ expert, Richie.
That's right. The man who invented it.
The missing Gracie.
I'm gonna put you in a guillotine tomorrow night, Dave, like for that.
That's great.
Well, thanks so much
Love
for joining
you
us
guys.
again, Rich. We'll look forward to seeing you on the podcast again very, very soon.
See you guys.
That's right.